I'm going to kill you." The voice rang out in broad daylight, in the parking lot of a quiet apartment complex in Beaufort, Georgia. No one knew that minutes later, a young woman, a beautiful, 30-year-old single mother, once called the life of the party by her friends, would be lying on the pavement, her internal organs damaged, her ribs shattered, and finally, no longer breathing. Ashley Bocanegra, a girl who had dreamed of a bright future for her 7-year-old son, left her apartment that day with a simple goal: to talk to her ex, Daniel Gonzalez, the father of her child. But she didn't expect that the person waiting for her wasn't Daniel, but death. Why would a grown woman, the mother of a child, die in broad daylight at the hands of a 17-year-old girl? What happened between three people who seemed to have left the past behind, to start over in a new land? And most importantly, was justice really served, or was this another case forgotten, in the shadow of misunderstanding, lies, and jealousy? Let me retrace Ashley's steps, every text message, every call, every step she took into the trap she couldn't escape. To understand why that day, that woman died at the hands of her ex-lover's fiancé, with the help of the sister of the man they fought over, an unfair fight, recorded on a phone, laughed at on social media, and ended with a 20-year prison sentence. But was it enough? Ashley Bocanegra was born and raised in New York. With her bright smile and cheerful personality, she was always the center of every party. A girl who made others pay attention as soon as she walked into the room. Years ago, she had a passionate relationship with Daniel Gonzalez, a handsome, charismatic, and troubled Latino. They fell in love, broke up, and got back together. The result was a lovely son and a faithful bond. A few years later, the two moved by chance, or on purpose, to Beaufort, Georgia, a small town less than an hour's drive from Atlanta. They had their own lives. Daniel was engaged to Antonetta Stevens, Ashley had her own fiancé. But fate was playing tricks on them. They both worked the night shift, and Ashley was Daniel's boss. Amid the floor tiles and shift receipts at Floor Decor, the old flame flared up again. If it had just been a secret affair, it might not have been so bloody. But instead of keeping it a secret, Daniel told his younger sister, 17-year-old Janine Gonzalez, everything. Janine is not the type to keep secrets. She immediately told Antonetta, her brother's fiancé, whom Janine considered her sister. At that time, Antonetta was crazy. They had left the past together, moved to Georgia to start over. She thought she would have a family, children, happiness. But it all turned out to be a betrayal. And the betrayer was the woman who had slept with her husband, had been her boss, and now was still a mortal threat: jealousy, hurt, and humiliation. Those three things combined made Antonetta plan a talk, but this was not a conversation, it was an ambush. August 11, 2022. Clear sky. Hot sun. Ashley went to the Preston Hills at Mill Creek apartment complex, where Daniel lived with his fiancée. She thought she would see Daniel. But as soon as she entered the parking lot, two women rushed out to block her way. No one intervened. No one spoke, only screams and a phone recording everything. Antonetta shouted at Ashley, "I will kill you." Then grabbed her hair and threw her to the concrete. Ashley, the smaller, weaker, struggled. But it was hopeless. Janine, 17, the sister who filmed her, at first just stood there watching. But then, as if provoked by the violence, she rushed in and kicked Ashley in the head 3 times. The video, which later became the main evidence, clearly recorded Janine laughing. She can still talk after being beaten? Ashley did not die immediately. She crawled back to the apartment, demanding her phone back. The blood did not flow too much. No one thought she would die. Even when the police arrived, Ashley still said, I don't know who Antonetta is, I'm not cheating. But hours later, her face was swollen, her throat was constricted, and her internal organs were severely damaged. She died before surgery. Cause of death: ruptured adrenal gland, indirect cause, jealousy, method of murder, hands, feet, cruelty, and a videophone. When the police told her Ashley was dead, Janine laughed. She didn't believe it. Or she did, but she didn't care. What? Murder? God, life is crazy, she said, and laughed softly. She was only 17, but she was officially charged with murder. Same with her sister-in-law, Antonetta, Beaufort, Georgia, a small town, so quiet that many people don't bother locking their doors at night, where kids ride bikes in the yard, where mothers chat on their balconies, where it seems like everyone knows each other, or at least thinks they know the people living next door. The Preston Hills at Mill Creek apartment complex, where the murder took place, is not a slum, not a crime hot spot. It's like any other suburban apartment complex: white picket fences, shady trees, and the sound of children's laughter every afternoon. But on the afternoon of August 11, 2022, that peace was shattered. A summer afternoon, the sun was shining brightly. No one heard the gunshots, no one saw the blood, only a dry sound: crack. The sound of a head hitting the concrete, and another sound, quieter, but far more terrifying. The sound of a phone recording. Antonetta Stevens, 27, Daniel Gonzalez's fiancée, had a plan. She didn't wait for Ashley inside. She and Janine, her teenage sister-in-law, went out to the parking lot to pick up the girl. No one in the neighborhood stopped her. No one called the police when they heard the initial screams. Some saw it, but they thought it must be a jealous fight. But the truth was, this wasn't a fight. This was an execution. Ashley arrived at the apartment complex without a weapon. No weapon, no companion, no warning. She thought she'd see Daniel. But he wasn't the one who opened the door. She was dragged out into the parking lot. The fight started with a grab of her hair. Antonetta was bigger, stronger. She tackled Ashley to the ground, smashed her head into the pavement, and screamed, "I'm going to kill you." Daniel's sister, Janine, stood by filming. But soon she couldn't take it anymore. She lunged. Kicked Ashley in the head. Multiple times. As Ashley begged to get up, Antonetta snatched her phone and handed it to Janine. They intended to use it to call Ashley's fiancé to reveal the truth, that she was having an affair with Daniel, but they didn't, they just laughed. Then the beating continued. An office worker at the apartment complex heard the screaming. Finally, they called 911. When the police arrived, Ashley was still alive. She staggered to her feet, demanded her phone back, and staggered back to her apartment. Daniel, awakened by the fighting, came out too late. He saw Ashley's face red and swollen, but still talking. Little did he know, she was broken inside. Daniel didn't stop the attack. The police didn't immediately arrest anyone. Ashley, in a call from the hospital, said she didn't know anyone named Antonetta. She denied having an affair. Everything seemed like it would end like a love quarrel. But a few hours later, Ashley stopped breathing. When the police returned to Daniel's apartment that evening, no one cried, not a tear, not a trace of remorse. When the investigator announced that Ashley was dead, Antonetta just sighed softly, then said, "I'm sorry, but she came to my house." She repeated it like a moral shield. "I didn't invite her. I didn't hit her. She came to Daniel, not me." But the truth was, Antonetta and Janine had used Daniel's phone while he was sleeping to text Ashley to lure her to the house. What do we call that? Murder? Ambush? Jealousy. When she was brought to the police station, Antonetta claimed to be depressed. She said she had bipolar disorder. She was a mother. She was trying to rebuild her life. But the cameras were still rolling. Janine's phone still had the video of Ashley being beaten, and the confession was recorded. Janine was different. She laughed throughout the interrogation. She was 17, but she acted like a kid who had just been arrested for stealing candy. She laughed when she was told she had broad shoulders. She laughed when she heard she was charged with robbery, and when she heard she was charged with murder. Huh? Murder? Who? Me? That's terrible. Then she laughed again. Neighbors didn't believe it. Friends didn't believe it. Everyone said, Ashley? She's dead? That's impossible. She was always upbeat and cheerful. How could she die from a fight? The town of Beaufort had been peaceful, but after that day, people started locking their doors. Children stopped playing in the yard, and people started whispering. They planned it all along. She just wanted her phone back. But she never got a chance to make another call. Ashley Bocanegra, 30 years old, single mother. Exemplary employee. Respected manager by her colleagues, but above all, she is a mother who loves her children unconditionally. Related people describe Ashley as a little sun. Wherever she goes, the space brightens. She wanted to become a veterinarian, because she loved her little cat named Princess since childhood. When that dream didn't come true, she switched to retail. Not because she liked it, but because she wanted to give her 7-year-old son a full life. The love between Ashley and Daniel was not new. They were passionately in love, had a child together, then broke up because of irreconcilable conflicts, but fate or some blind bond makes them work together again, sleep together again. Even though Daniel is engaged. She wasn't perfect. But she never hurt anyone. Why did she die that way? A close friend of Ashley said through tears, Daniel Gonzalez, a man living between two women, he didn't choose, he didn't decide, he didn't tell the truth. It was that ambiguity that killed Ashley. Who did Daniel love? No one knew, but when he told his sister Janine about his relationship with Ashley, who was his boss, Daniel set off a bomb. Janine didn't keep it a secret. She told Antonetta, who had treated her like a sister. From that moment on, everything changed. It was no longer a secret relationship. It was revenge. Antonetta didn't say anything to Ashley. No threatening text messages. No warnings. She kept quiet. She planned. And waited for the right moment. The scary thing is not the action, but the preparation time. She knew she was going to beat Ashley, and she brought along her cameraman, Janine. This wasn't a moment of impulse. This was a social execution. When the police investigated, they found small blood stains left on the concrete. Security cameras recorded the 3 women walking to the parking lot, but there was no footage of the assault, no screams for help. No one called the police first. Another strange thing, Ashley was conscious after the beating. She was able to walk. She was able to talk. She even told the police, I don't know those 2 people. But the truth was, her head was swollen, her chest was fractured, she had internal injuries so severe that doctors couldn't operate on her. Another chilling detail, Antonetta didn't deny it. She gave detailed accounts of the beating, but kept repeating the same phrase, she came to my house. She wanted to blame the victim. The first thing the police noticed was Daniel's phone. It hadn't been in his possession all morning. Who used it? Antonetta and Janine. They used Daniel's own number to text Ashley, pretending that Daniel was calling her to meet. Ashley thought she was talking to her son's father, but the person waiting was the enemy. The call from the hospital said, Ashley died of a ruptured right adrenal gland caused by a very strong impact. The autopsy report, homicide, murder. The camera didn't show the beating clearly, but Janine had filmed the video with her own phone. In the video, when Antonetta asked, "Do you want to join?" Janine replied, "Of course." Then she kicked Ashley in the head 3 times. At the police station, when she heard that Ashley was dead, Daniel collapsed. He screamed, then broke down. "Please. Don't say that. Don't say she died. Please." An act? Or was it really that he didn't expect things to go this far? Antonetta was the opposite. She was quiet, unresponsive. She said only one thing when she heard Ashley's death: "I didn't try to kill her. I just wanted to teach her a lesson." Janine, 17, laughed again. Laughed when she was charged with robbery. Laughed when she heard the 2 words, murder. It was just hair. I just pulled her hair. And now it's like this. Have you ever thought, could this happen in your apartment complex? Could someone plan to beat someone to death just because of a few ambiguous text messages? Could a teenage girl laugh as she kills someone just because she slept with my brother? This was not an accident, it was a tragedy of jealousy, lies, and uncontrolled anger. The case quickly became a media sensation in Georgia. A woman was beaten to death in broad daylight by her ex-lover's fiancé with the help of his sister. The trial was tense and emotional. The most important piece of evidence, Janine Gonzalez's phone. She had recorded the beating. And in it, Antonetta turned to Janine and asked, "Do you want a piece of this?" And Janine at 17 smiled, nodded, and kicked the victim in the head. The defense attorney tried to get Janine to reduce the charge. She was just a bystander. If she was guilty, it was involuntary manslaughter, not murder. But the prosecutor countered, a bystander did not kick the victim in the head 3 times. The bystander did not laugh after hearing the news of the victim's death. The bystander did not take the phone and attempt to text the deceased's fiancé. The fatal blow, according to the medical examiner's report, was a blow that ruptured the right adrenal gland, leading to uncontrolled internal bleeding. The verdict: Antonetta Stevens, guilty of first-degree murder, robbery, and aggravated assault. Janine Gonzalez, although only 17, she was tried as an adult and found guilty of murder and robbery. Both were sentenced 20 years in prison without parole. Ashley Bocanegra is gone. Her son, who was only 7, lost his mother. Her fiancé, who had planned to marry Ashley, had to pick her up from the hospital, instead of picking her up at the wedding. Daniel, the man in the middle of the incident, was not charged, but lives with guilt. "I never thought it would be like this. I never wanted Ashley to die. I lost everything." Ashley's family held a funeral in her hometown of New York. The costs were largely covered by a GoFundMe, with thousands of people donating. A cousin of Ashley said, "We thought she was safe. Who would have thought? Death would come right to the doorstep of the person she trusted. No one thought a fight would kill a young mother. No one believed a 17-year-old girl could calmly kick another person to death and then laugh in an interrogation room. But it's true. Society needs to recognize jealousy, if left unchecked, can become murderous. Social media, cameras, text messages, all can be used as evidence against you. No one has the right to take another person's life, no matter how much damage it causes, no matter how much you think you're the victim. If someone had listened to Ashley, if someone had stopped her that day, if someone had told her, "Don't go to that apartment, something's wrong," would she have survived? It was sunny when Ashley walked into the apartment. She didn't know she was walking into a trap. She just wanted to see her son's father, just wanted to get her phone back. But then, a punch, a kick, a drag. She would never see her son again. If that were your son, are you sure you could have saved him in time? If you saw your daughter meeting her married ex, would you have said, "Don't go"? And if you were ever so jealous that you wanted to hit someone, Would you have stopped and asked, "Is the price too great?"